Running out of time in Gaza amidst fears Israel is about to launch a major operation. Also tonight,
they finally got their eviction notice. Thank God. Thought it was never going to happen.
One of Portland's most notorious homeless camps gone. What is being done to stop campers from coming back? And get ready for the Ring of Fire. With uncertainty in the forecast, your best chance of catching the celestial show. And we begin tonight with new developments in the war between Israel and Hamas. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko. It is now 9 in the morning on Saturday in Gaza, where tens of thousands of people continue to flee to the southern half of the territory after a warning from Israel to get out of harm's way. Catherine Cook is in the newsroom with the very latest. Catherine.
David, this is part of Israel's massive response to last weekend's terror attack by Hamas that left more than 1,300 people in Israel dead. Meanwhile, the death toll in Gaza continues to grow. So far, more than 1,900 people have been killed in Gaza. That includes 70 people in a convoy hit by Israeli airstrikes as they followed orders to evacuate. Some 200 others were injured and wound up in this hospital in northern Gaza. Here, medical workers say they will not evacuate. NBC reports that most of the 1.1 million people told to leave northern Gaza have not left. Many are refugees from previous wars, they say, who don't want to be made refugees again. And many say they have nowhere to go. That includes Salma Sharab, a 22-year-old dental student who lives in Gaza City. She's been keeping this video journal.
Every time I close my eye, I either hear a bomb or see a light or hear a noise or hear a scream or hear a neighbor evacuating. So I'm like, should I evacuate now or should I just wait for my death in my own house?
Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine!
Meanwhile, in Portland, dozens of people gathered downtown for a pro-Palestine rally Friday. They waved flags and called for awareness about the long-standing conflict in the Middle East. Many want to put this week's events into the context of the Palestinians' decades-long struggle for their own state.
This is just unbelievable.
What about the attack by Hamas earlier this week?
They're trying to get their people out from under apartheid. They want the world to notice.
Not everyone who supports a Palestinian state agrees with that sentiment. Many others have condemned the attacks on Israeli civilians. As for Israel's continued response, the timeline of a ground offense is uncertain. A continuation of responses to last week's deadly terror attack by Hamas, which left more than 1,300 people in Israel dead. In an unusual address on the Jewish Sabbath, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu appeared on television to say the country's forces were preparing for another attack in Gaza and, quote, "Our enemies have only started paying the price." And as Palestinians travel to southern Gaza, another crisis is brewing: the inability to get supplies in. With all the crossings into Gaza currently closed, aid workers say a humanitarian corridor must be opened to get food, water, and medicine to millions who need it. David.
Catherine Cook with the update tonight. Thank you, Catherine. Images of this war and the human toll are jarring and disturbing, including for teens and children. And avoiding them, though, can be tough, especially on social media. We talked to a local psychologist about how parents should approach this with their kids. She suggested, instead of blocking access to social media, considering having hard, age-appropriate, honest conversations with them.
But I think the most important thing is for us to just acknowledge that we know that this is going to happen for them and offer the opportunity that they can come to us and talk to us. Or even say, if you are going to be on social media, let's do it when we can be together. And you are welcome to come to me with difficult situations and with what you see there.
Well, she also suggested that parents ask questions, keep conversations going by checking in more often with them. For example, ask about what scares them about what they're seeing online or elsewhere, and also address misinformation by explaining that not everything they see on social media is true. Stay with KGW and NBC News for continuing coverage of the Israel-Hamas war. Look for updates here and anytime at KGW.com, on KGW Plus, or on the KGW app. To get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now, police have identified the man shot and killed in a road rage shooting Wednesday in downtown Portland. He is 47-year-old Ryan Martin of Southwest Washington. Court documents say Martin and the suspect, Jeffrey Hammond, got into an altercation near Southwest 10th and Alder. That is when investigators say Hammond shot Martin in the chest. Police say he also shot a bystander who started recording the aftermath of the violence. Hammond has pleaded not guilty. In Clackamas, a driver is accused of hitting a child, leaving the scene, then getting into another crash. Police say this all began on Southeast 82nd Drive near Tiffany Court Thursday morning. Authorities say the driver ran over a child's feet before the victim's older sibling pulled the child out of the way. That child was treated at the scene. The hit-and-run driver then got into a head-on crash at Jennifer and Evelyn Streets. The driver died in the hospital. Deputies believe they may have been intoxicated. And crews are also investigating a fatal crash in Aloha. This was around 8 this evening along Southeast Cornelius Road. The Washington County Sheriff's Office says one person died. Right now, roads are closed at Cornelius and Southwest Augusta Drive. No word on a cause or when the area will reopen. In our homeless crisis, a large camp on the edge of Old Town known as The Pit has now been cleared. This week, city crews and a biohazard team removed dozens of tents along with garbage and debris. Outreach workers say 19 of the people camping there moved into that mass-sanctioned camp in southeast Portland. Here's how a neighbor near the camp in Northwest reacted.
They finally got their eviction notice, thank God. Thought it was never gonna happen. We are finally getting our neighborhood back.
Well, some of the area has now been filled with large boulders while security guards patrol areas close to the steel bridge, which is currently being repaired to make sure campers cannot return. It is unclear how long those guards will remain in place. To an update this evening on a group of Portland seniors being forced to move again. Dozens of tenants at Rosemont Court in North Portland were forced to leave in 2021 due to an outbreak of Legionnaire's disease. That's a severe form of pneumonia contracted through bacteria in water. They have been living elsewhere with nonprofits helping offset the rise in rent. Residents expected to return to Rosemont next summer, but now say they have received a letter saying Rosemont won't reopen because it's too expensive to fix its water system.
And they say, well, we'll do something. We don't know. They're trying to find money. Do you know how unnerving that feels? You got to find some money. I got 6 months to start looking for a place.
In a statement, Northwest Housing Alternatives said it was still looking for funding to make Rosemont operational and said it would work with residents to help them find new housing. Well, tonight, a union that represents 1,300 Peace Health workers has announced they will go on strike in 10 days. This includes techs, service and maintenance workers at Peace Health Southwest in Vancouver and lab workers at Peace Health St. John in Longview. Workers say negotiations over staffing and wages have stalled. They're set to hit the picket lines starting October 23rd. Meanwhile, Kaiser Permanente has reached a tentative deal nationwide with unions representing tens of thousands of employees. The 4-year deal includes wage increases, changes to benefits, and more job training opportunities. Employees will start voting to ratify that deal next week. Local Kaiser pharmacy workers remain on strike. You're watching KGW News. Still to come on this Friday night, the game of the week we have been waiting on all year. It is Friday Night Football, and Orlando is just getting warmed up here. Plus, we are counting down to the Ring of Fire eclipse, and right now, Joe Ranieri is in search of sunshine. Where should we go, Joe?
Well, I can tell you where you shouldn't go, and that's going to be along the Oregon coast. But things are improving in a few locations, and that includes parts of the valley. Here we are a little after 9 o'clock tomorrow at the peak of this event. Yeah, I would stay in parts of the valley and a better shot of seeing on the east side of the state. I'll talk more about that in just a few minutes.